They're not that great. Pain in the ass. Yeah, but it was. Nice. How'd they do?
Okay, the meeting is called to order. Please stand for the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Miller, roll call, please.
April Carlson, present. Eric Markin.
Here.
Nikki Miller's here. Darcy Cody.
Here.
Greg Stremka.
Here.
Jeff Conway.
Here.
And Mindy.
Here.
Looks like everyone's absent, right?
Or Danielle.
Danielle, pardon me. Yeah, sorry about that.
And she let us know.
And she's very important, just for the record.
And will be
She will be missed today.
Any agenda adjustment? And I motion to move the student board report up one space to number 7. Okay, I will second that. Any discussion? Okay. Those in favor of approving the agenda with that adjustment, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that is approved. We are on to number 5, announcement. Any announcement?
The fundraiser?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have some, if they're still there, some small little flyers. We have our Lancer Night Out on April 26th at Valley High Golf Club. Last year was a blast, lots of raffles, lots of prizes, lots of fun, good music, and we raised $14,000 for scholarships for our graduating seniors, and that money also goes to Apple Grant, so we hope to see you there.
Thank you. Any other announcement? Okay, moving along, we are on number 6, community input. I have 2 speakers. Were there any other that didn't get forms turned in? Okay, so first we will hear from Pat from Ready Bus. You can.
I just stand up and talk? Okay.
Yep.
Well, my name is Pat Burton. I don't represent anyone other than myself. I live at 3368 Burton Valley Road, been here for a long time. What I wanted to say about this phenomenon is we all like to feel comfortable, and we all like to give everyone a measure of respect. And find that that's failing our school buses, which is an extension of the school. And it makes me uncomfortable to see the street wheel. But I think I'm talking grassroots kind of thing here. I listen to a lot of stuff about talking amongst all of the big bus drivers. And we seem to have lost a grip on discipline. The kids know what we can do and what we can't do. And it's what we can't do that they're very well aware of. So I'm not really asking for solutions, because this is probably a growing kind of a thing in dealing with just that 1% of us that makes it bad for the rest of us. So I would like to think that we would have a good representation of bus drivers here, always, for this growthy kind of a thing. And so that's my emphasis is, I don't think we need an armed guard, or a guard, like you say, just a guard on every bus. But I'd like to see us grow into something that is more comfortable for the good students, as they suffer more than any of us when there's a lack of discipline on the bus. So, in their behalf, I'd like to grow into something that's a little more comfortable, a little more disciplined. I don't think we need to become a military school, but we certainly have to address discipline. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Pat.
Well,
Thanks.
In other words, writing them up. You guys keep saying writing them up, writing them up. How many times do we have to write them up? Nothing's being done. We get the same student on the bus, does the same thing over and over and over again. And nothing is being done. And then it disrupts the other kids. And like on my bus, I've got 65 kids. And I'm only by myself. I don't have an aide. So trying to watch 65 kids on a bus, and they're acting up and jumping out of seats, and you know, it's, and all I'm being told is, write them up, write them up. How many times do we have to write them up? Something needs to be done.
Yeah, I do. I've got a question. I'm just curious if maybe you can bring, not to call it out tonight, but finding out what if there's an age group, certain bus numbers, certain routes, just to help admin address maybe, and maybe it does need to get more to parent level. I don't know if that could be helpful, but yes, it needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed at school and at home, in my opinion.
Disrupting other students, and then you have these students saying, how come, you know, and like he said, they know where to push us and where they can, you know, where we cannot discipline them or do this, that, you know, they'll say, well, you can't do that. That's what we're told all the time, you can't tell me to do that.
I had a student tonight that I needed to move to the front seat because of that student's behavior, and she yelled at me, "No, I don't need it." And I pulled the bus off the road, shut it off, and I said, "We'll sit here till midnight until you come to the front seat." Well, she came to the front. I guess she didn't want to wait till midnight. There's a lot of this going on. One of our better drivers even threatened just this afternoon if he had to quit, he would, because of behavior.
Yeah, it's not safe to drive either when you've got kids
Well,
acting
we're
up.
having some parents that are blaming us as drivers.
Not being able to
Handle the kids on the bus. We've had several come to our office now and blaming us. for the behavior.
But we have no control.
I certainly appreciate all you do. I know what it's, I just have third row seating, so I know. I really don't, but it was a joke, but I get it.
I mean,
Thank
there
you.
is good kids, don't get me wrong, I mean, we have
There.
some very good kids.
Really.
But the ones that are disruptive are
And it's the same one.
It's the
the same ones.
Same one.
Well, thank you for speaking and letting us know that you're having to, and we very much appreciate what you do. Yeah, thank you for being here.
Appreciate it.
Any other board members, any comments? Okay, next I have, two young ladies, Evelise and Charlie, who would like to speak about prom, names, and voting.
So I'm Evelise and this is Charlie, and we're from the JCO organization, and we're going to talk about prom, king, and queen. So right now, the adults that are running this program have decided to pick 5 people from the junior class and 5 people from the senior class, and they're going to pick their names that they want to. They don't want to be called king, queen, so they'll get to pick whatever name they want. And so I think we should pick 10. Well, this is what the whole JCO organization thinks. We should pick 10 juniors and 10 seniors, and then they can pick 2 king and queen, prince and princess out of those 2. So right now they want to pick 10 juniors, 10 seniors, then narrow down to 5, and then narrow down to 2. I think we just should go from 10 to 2, because it is like, it's more like diverse, like if we go from 5 to 2. It's going to be more difficult picking 2 people out of 5 than it will be from 10. So, and during homecoming, people pick funny names, like when they got to pick whatever they wanted instead of like king, queen, prince, and princess, they got to pick whatever name they wanted. And they can pick emperor and empress, which I didn't understand the difference, because they can pick emperor and empress, which I don't think is much different from king and queen. They're both genderizing the names. So I think we should just do king and queen if we can do emperor and empress. On the JCO team, we are ordering 2 tiaras and 2 crowns, and we have to order them in advance to get them to the school on time for prom. So if what ends up happening is that 3 boys get picked or 3 girls get picked, one of them is going to have the opposite headwear because we aren't going to have enough to do that. So I think we should have to pick 5 girls and 5 boys in the junior class and the senior class, and then pick 2 from each of those to have a king, queen, prince, and princess.
We believe this is less inclusive, having to pick 5 from each grade because already one gender is going to be outnumbered compared to the other. And when we did this during homecoming, there were 7 boys on court and only 3 girls. And it's not fair. If we pick 10 people, we could do a 50-50, 5 boys and 5 girls. At the top of the survey, we could pick 5 girls and 5 boys, and then, or do 4 boys and 4 girls, and then you can pick 2 others.
So when we send the surveys out, we'll be pick 10 people, 4 girls, 4 boys, and 2 others, and they can pick whoever they want. And the head group, the head member, is trying to make this more equal and more inclusive, but I think having it go from 10 to 5 is making it less inclusive, because that jump from 10 to 5 is already making a difference, because there's going to be 3 boys and 3 girls, and then 2 boys and 2 girls. It'll be less inclusive. So to end this, we just like the board and superintendent to support in choosing how we would like to run our court and have the handbook changed to reflect the student's choice. I think all of JCO wants it to just be named king, queen, prince, princess, not have any silly names up there, because prom's supposed to be a fun time and not make it a joke. So I think if we can just take 10 people, go straight to 2 people, as king, queen, prince, princess, and then that'll be it.
Good job, ladies.
Thank you.
So in the past month, there really hasn't been much going on. I'm good to go, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Well,
sorry.
just thanks for coming, guys, and
Yeah.
if you don't want to stay for the rest of the board meeting, you guys don't have to. You can always.
Oh, really?
It's only going to go another 2 or 3 hours, so don't worry about it if you don't want to stay. So there's not much been going on in the past month in the school. It's kind of just been chill. There hasn't really much happening. The school hosted a blood drive with our community leadership class. I talked to some of the kids in community leadership, and they said that they actually did reach their goal for how much people they wanted to come and donate, and they had a lot of walk-ins, which is good. So they got a lot of student participation. We're hosting a March Madness competition. That will be hosted by Student Council, and that starts tomorrow, so students have some extra time to get into their brackets. And spring sports have all started, and that's kind of it. It's kind of like a dead month.
I was excited to see the March Madness. I think that's super fun and new.
Yeah.
Lily, are you part of JCO?
I was the president of JCO last year, but now I'm senior this year, so I'm a part of senior class officers.
Oh, okay. And do you, like what they were just talking about, do you feel that is how the students feel and want things run?
So, what I can say, for homecoming, it's only seniors that are picked to go up on court. And so as a senior, I heard a lot of input on how the court was ran this year. And it hasn't been positive. I haven't heard any positives about it. I think it's most upsetting right now. I've spoken to other seniors about this. It's because we saw how it was at homecoming, of how it was literally 30% girls and 70% guys. And in that case scenario for homecoming, the boys' sports are obviously have more participation than girls, because there's only girls soccer and volleyball. But boys football, if you look at the football team, there's about 50 kids on there, and they all get the chance to go. And so during homecoming, what a lot of the senior girls felt is that we were not belittled in a sense, but it was like, oh, wow, this doesn't feel fair, doesn't feel like we're on the same level. And so we are worried with that happening again with prom, with that being our last senior year prom. We just want to have fun and be able to have fun like we always thought we would. And it was one of the things that was most upsetting is that we didn't really get any input on this. It was felt like it was just like a set in stone thing. There's nothing we can do to change it. There was no survey sent out to the student body. There's no communication with this, and our advisor came to student council and said this is how it's going to be, and wouldn't change any decisions. So that's what the most upsetting was, is because we didn't feel like we had a say in anything.
And you were looking forward to this tradition.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what I've heard.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And thanks for coming tonight.
Yes. Is there any other?
No, you are free to.
Thank you.
You did great, Lily.
Take the lead.
Thank you.
Okay, we are on the old number 7, now the number 8, and that is the middle school staff presentation.
Yeah, so my name is John Ryan. I have taught pretty much all of your kids at this point, so I'm not necessarily a new face. Been here for a little bit, and what we are attempting to do today is be able to get in front of the school board and have a conversation with you about a lot of different things that are happening in the middle school. We know what is said and done in the community and things like that. We wanted to take this opportunity to be able to communicate with you directly and talk about some of the really cool things and the impressive things that we're doing as a middle school staff, because sometimes our identity is lost in the fray between elementary and high school. And so we want to be able to communicate with you specifically about what's happening in our school. And the way that we came up with this information was we recently met as an entire staff. So we got together, we collaborated, and we talked about not only the really impressive things that are happening in our school, but also some things that we think we could have a little bit more support in to continue to go from good to great. And so these are the people, right back there where Travis was, these are the people today who you're going to hear from. I'm kind of kicking it off, and then I'll hand it over a little bit to you. So ultimately, the next slide is why. Why are we here? And that's what I just talked about. We're here to communicate with you specifically about what's happening in our school. And we want you to be able to hear from the people who are on the front lines, the people who are in the classroom every day, and the people who are with your student every single day. So we want to be able to kind of advocate for our staff, because it's the building leadership team and a couple other faces who are talking to you tonight, and we wanted to be able to represent kind of our entire middle school. The guiding factor of what we are doing as a middle school staff is no different than what our district is doing. What we are attempting to do is be student first in everything that we're doing. And so today what we're going to talk to you about is how are we doing that? How are we actually illustrating the fact that we are putting our students first? And what are we doing? It's not just a motto, it's not just a mission, it's our livelihood, it's what we do on a daily basis. And we're going to talk to you about how we're doing that. And more specifically, as a middle school, we're talking about this bottom part here. My learning experiences are engaging, interactive, hands-on activities, meaningful dialogue among my peers and teachers. We are going to show you, instead of just talking about it, we're going to show you how we're doing this on a daily basis. How are we actually engaging and interacting with our students? How are we giving those meaningful dialogues? How are we a part of the process with your students? And so that's what the emphasis is going to be as we move forward. And Travis is going to hit next for us, which leads us to our next couple speakers.
Hello, everybody. I am Valerie Von Arx. I am the 5th grade special education teacher, and with me.
And I'm Nicole Blockstedt, and I'm the 5th grade science and language arts teacher.
And today, like John said at the beginning, we're going to talk about what we're proud of specifically at the middle school and the successes that we've had in the last couple of years.
So Minnesota Nice is one of the many ways we acknowledge students in the middle school, and Minnesota Nice is focused on recognizing students that go above and beyond to show kindness towards others. So when a student is recognized as being Minnesota Nice, their name is added to a recognition board that is at the end of each grade level hallway. And then each grade level does something a little different, whether it be certificates or their name over a loudspeaker. In 5th grade specifically, we hand out certificates along with 6th grade and some other grade levels. And I just noticed that students are really proud of this certificate. The other day, I noticed one of my students from my classes just marveling at this certificate because they were so proud that they had been chosen as Minnesota Nice. We distributed a survey to middle school students this past week because we wanted to see who's been recognized and what they have been recognized for. So that's been our major focus in PBIS this year. And 78.2% of the student population has been recognized for Minnesota Nice this year alone, and that number is so high because and impressive because only 2 to 3 students per grade level are being recognized each week.
All right, and then next we have the Breakfast of Champions. This is another thing that we do to recognize our students in the middle school. So 2 years ago, Josh Merlicote started the Breakfast of Champions. Once every month, 3 students per grade level in the middle school are selected based upon growth, having motivation or perseverance at school, and then they get recognized because of this. Once teachers submit the student that they chose for Breakfast of Champions, Josh then contacts parents or guardians, and then they are invited to the media center in the middle and high school, and they're invited to a breakfast social. So during that social, parents and guardians get to hear about the achievements that their child made and why they were selected, and then they get to have a nice breakfast that morning. So it's been very positive, and participation for this event has been well over 95% since it started.
So Lancer Shields are something that we have implemented this year specifically, and it really reinforces the Lancer Way in a more immediate manner. So when students are caught following the Lancer Way, meaning respectful, responsible, and safe, or a combination of all 3, they are given a ticket, as you see up here, and students have the opportunity to bring their ticket to a grade level bucket in the middle school office, and they're potentially drawn for a prize. Those prizes range anywhere from a STEM kit to local gift cards and candy. And right now the hot commodity is Airhead Extremes. But this allows us to recognize a wide range of students daily.
So then based on the survey that we gave out to the 5th through 8th grade students, this is just a little bit digging a little bit deeper about the Lancer Shields. For the 5th through 8th grade students, 98.7% of students have said that they have received a Lancer Shield so far this school year. And of that 98.7%, over 50% of those students have received 10 or more Lancer Shields. So something that teachers are able to see, they're able to see that students are following the Lancer way, being respectful, responsible, safe, and getting them out to get airhead extremes or other items.
And then these are some pictures from our Lancer Way Days. So you'll see on the left and right, we went on a bowling trip this year in the fall, the whole middle school did. And then you'll see in the middle, this is a picture of our Lancer Way Days. So Lancer Way Days are a day in which we recognize the Student of the Month, the Breakfast of Champions, and the Minnesota Nice representatives. And they all have the opportunity to play a fun game up on stage. So like an example of one of the games is you have to get an Oreo from your forehead to your mouth without using your hands. So it was really fun to watch that. And then most recently we were able to go to the Rivoli and watch a movie, which was super fun. And this just gives us a chance to showcase the Lancer Way not only in our school but in our community.
And then one more way that we are getting involved more so in the community, or rather building to building, is our 8th grade students have had the opportunity, the 8th grade teachers have connected with the elementary school. And the 8th grade students have been paired up with students here at the elementary school. So students every day are able to practice the Lancer Way at the middle school, but then they also get to go out into the community and practice the Lancer Way of being respectful, responsible, safe at the elementary school.
So from the survey that we collected last week, students also had the opportunity to describe what they love about our middle school campus. So we had responses from 8th grade all the way down to 5th grade, and here are some of them. The Lancer Way is a great thing that I enjoy on our campus. I am always excited to come to school to be around my friends. I'm excited about our field trips coming up, and I enjoy being around students and teachers.
Here are a few more handwritten notes that students have written about our Student of the Month and Minnesota Nice and Breakfast of Champions. The note in the top left corner kind of stuck out to me the most because the student talked about how there are several students in our middle school, but a lot of times there are students that don't get recognized, and what students want is to be recognized, and they enjoy being seen. And also our Lancer Way Days have been very successful. Kids love those Lancer Way Days. They can be in a different setting. They can be around their friends that they might not have in all of their classes. So it's been very positive, which is great to see because the kids deserve it. So, and kids think that it's a good idea. So that's going on.
So not only did we collect data from our students, but we also asked for feedback from our teachers as well. And two of those teachers that we have quotes from are with us tonight. The first is John Ryan, and he says, "For the first time in my tenure in La Crescent, I am confident and optimistic with the direction we are moving in the middle school. We lost our identity for quite some time, and the path we are on keeps me motivated and reassured." And then another one, Travis Lorkey says, "I've had the privilege to teach in several wonderful districts throughout my career. I pushed all my chips in on District 300 7 years ago and am now more than ever encouraged and optimistic about our direction. Our district has tremendous potential to not just be good, but to be great." And then one more comes from Natalie Elson. She's our 7th grade teacher, language arts. She says, "This has been my first year in the district, and I have been welcomed with open arms. The amount of support from administration and staff has provided me the opportunity to dive right into the culture by pushing our student-first approach to middle school." So not only are students having positive experiences, but our staff members are as well.
And then we just have two more quotes from a couple more teachers in the middle school. The first one is from Nikki Johnson. She is one of our 6th grade teachers, and then one from Dave Kudachek, who is one of our 5th grade teachers. Nikki Johnson says, "Being a teacher at this school is the most supportive environment I've been in as an adult. Our sense of community, especially the middle school and my hallway/team, helps me to grow as a professional and support the students in amazing ways. We all work so well together, and I know the kids can sense that." And then Dave Kubicek also said, the teachers at La Crescent Hopa Middle School truly understand the middle school philosophy and the middle school age child. They are some of the most dedicated teachers in the area that always put the students' needs first to make sure everyone is successful.
And as a teacher that is new to the district, I can truly say that I love my job. I admire all the ways we acknowledge and we celebrate our students' successes and achievement in so many ways. The staff members, the students, the community are what make La Crescent Hopa Middle School so special. I'm extremely proud to be a teacher in the district. With all those positives being said, Travis is going to talk about some of the key takeaways from our roundtable discussions that we had as a staff.
All right, so I'm Travis Lurkey. Basically, you've got the handouts there, so some of the sneak attack is out in the open now. But anyway, John alluded to the fact that we had a roundtable discussion as part of our, middle school staff, 5 through 8. We got together and very purposely and intentionally came together and used some of our restorative practices training and got into small groups and did some think, pair, shares. And again, we're really intentional about trying to just gather information about how is our culture, how is the direction we're going, what are we doing well academically, and then what are some things that maybe could be better. So some of the things that came out of that discussion was that we really felt like in the last couple of years we've had an improved culture and cohesiveness. And that just speaks to kind of what you just saw from the other two teachers there that showed all the stuff we're doing with kids. We're student-centered efforts. We have a mindset towards kids, celebrating their success. I really like the efforts towards the student-centeredness. We've had some productive PLC and committee work, and with how we realign the committees, they seem more effective, and we're getting ideas from some of our trainings and being able to take that back to our PLCs. Again, focusing on student learning and restorative practices. We really feel like these have been positives, along with strong administrative support as well. We feel like we have the back of our administrators. With our new superintendent coming in, we feel like the direction is great. We have Mr. Malakote. Thank goodness we got a middle school principal back, where for years we didn't have just a dedicated middle school principal. And that strong administrative support has been really helpful. We also feel as teachers we have autonomy. We have professional respect from our administrators, from the community. We get to teach how we need to. We don't have someone with a clipboard checking things off a list, watching behind us. We have that autonomy, which we really value. There was, like I said, my sneak attack is no good now because we previewed it, but I want to tie these two things in together because not everything was perfect when we discussed at our round table. But one of my favorite books, Good to Great by Jim Collins, and then the picture of our new bridge in the city of La Crescent. So you recall a few years back, city administrators, taxpayers, civic groups got together and started thinking, hey, we'd like a better way to get across Highway 61. And so they put together a plan, and it's basically just a bridge across Highway 61. The old way was good. It got you across. You got some white lines on the road, and you can get across. But the new bridge is great. Okay, it's more efficient, more effective, it's safer. It might not have been popular for taxpayers or some groups. Maybe they don't like the look of it, but it's a better way. It took our passage across 61 from good to great. And that's kind of what I want to equate to the parts that came up in our discussion together. I want to think of it as the bridge. They weren't complaints. We didn't do any complaining. We just thought about, okay, we're good. We're doing good. But how can we do great? So a couple things came up in our roundtable. And one of the things we see are enhanced opportunities for cultural and diversity awareness. I mean, we deal with this daily as middle school teachers, these things that come up, and sometimes we feel like we don't have the answers. We don't have the training. we don't have opportunities as much as we would like for our students. You know, we've looked into different opportunities that we can get in the community. There's not a lot locally, but we just think that that was something that could, you know, bridge us to being great. At-risk behaviors, this was actually the catalyst for this whole presentation, really, is when we were having one of our dialogues at a building leadership team, and similar to what the bus drivers are telling us, the kids are coming with more at-risk behaviors. There's more naughtiness. There's more vaping going on. There's more things happening with at-risk behaviors with our population that we're trying to get a handle on. So we need to have some more dialogue and discussion about what can we do as we move these kids forward out of 5, 6, into 7, 8, into the high school to prevent these at-risk behaviors. Our MTSS programming, which is basically, you know, remedial reading, remedial math program. We need to continue to refine that program. We recognize this as a middle school staff that, you know, we got to start. We dug our heels in and started putting some things in motion. But this really has to be something coming down the pike as the READ Act is going to start taking place, and as special education referrals are going to be required, you know, MTSS interventions. So we, you know, see a need for a more robust MTSS program in alignment with what we're doing. And then a big one that came up was additional staffing, either an extra grade 5 teacher, an extra grade 6 teacher, or both. Right now we have 3 sections of 5 and 6, and we have 4 sections of 7 and 8, and for the most part in the elementary school, these kids are in 4 sections, which just simply means when they come to 5, 6, you know, my classroom sizes are 26 kids, 27, 25 in one of them. So we're cramming quite a few kids in a room, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but with some of the behaviors, that's a lot. Whereas then they go to 7th and 8th, and they have a little fewer kids in their class because they're able to spread them out, and our next team will talk a little bit about that. But this came up as some possible bridges that we could think about. And really, after our roundtable discussion and our subsequent PLC meetings, and then we wanted all staff input, and, you know, middle school staff, what do we want to take to the board? What do we want to look forward to the future with? And the data came up that the feeling was an additional staff member at grade 5 and 6, either one or both, would really help in a lot of ways that Leslie's going to talk about in a little bit. That was, you know, predominantly what the staff said. This would help the trickle down or trickle up effect for some of these behaviors we talked about. The MTSS position, that's something that's viable that we have to think about too, getting that more robust position. And then the diversity action plan came in a little less than that. But these were just some things that we talked about, and just want to try and tie that in for, we're doing good, but we can be great. So Leslie's going to share a little bit more about that.
I'm Leslie Pellinger. I am also one of the 5th grade teachers. I teach 5th grade math and language arts. So after we kind of collectively as a staff decided that the addition of a 5th or 6th grade staff person would be the most beneficial, we're going to talk about some reasons why. First and foremost, the ability to be responsive. We talk about being culturally responsive teachers and being able to respond in the moment. We'd be able to address those positive and negative behaviors in a timely manner. Therefore, you're addressing the academic needs of all learners. We also know that kids need a connected relationship with a safe and caring adult, especially at that middle school transitional level. We keep using that analogy of the bridge. The middle school is such a bridge between elementary and high school, and they're building so many of those foundational skills. And the fewer kiddos that are in our room that we're able to make those connections with, those connections are just that much more meaningful and deeper. We also keep talking and referring to this multi-tiered system of support. 7th and 8th grade, their model with the benefit of a 4th section, they're able to have intervention time set in place for reading and math. It's the 4 teachers that are doing that. 5th grade, we're trying to get a little bit creative. We do have some interventions going on, but we're cutting into some of our tier 1 first instructional time. And so you get more flexibility for differentiating and meeting those academic and behavioral needs, as well as flexibility in scheduling just with an additional 5. And this is one of the biggest pieces. So I like to think we have really phenomenal teachers in our hallway, and we do. And even though we're teaching to the standards and we are using the Minnesota State Standards to guide our teaching, you have 3 different language arts teachers teaching 3 different ways. And so the ability to have a consistency amongst the 2 grade levels, where all the 5th graders would receive the same language arts instruction, all of the 6th graders would receive the same language arts instruction, just kind of, I think, speaks for itself as far as the value of that. And then developmentally, the 5th grade was moved over to the middle school years ago, just because of a shift in preschool coming over. And so 5th grade traditionally is part of the elementary model, and just it's developmentally appropriate for those kiddos to have less peers around them, less distractions. Travis kind of referred to the behaviors. It's both behaviors and academics. We as teachers are able to kind of dive in deeper with each student and meet them more where they're at. And so as we all have been kind of saying, our whole purpose is to kind of show you the amazing things that are going on at the middle school. This is my 3rd school I've taught at, and it is by far the best experience I've had as far as colleagues and teammates and students. And I think that we have so much good going on that we just need to keep moving forward. There's a reason the rearview mirror is so small and the windshield is so large. Where you're headed is more important than where you've been. And so we're really just trying to solidify our identity as a middle school. And we appreciate your time, and if you have any questions, you can send them my way.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board? No?
Nope, I think it was great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. You're also free to leave if you'd like, but you're welcome to stay. We're on number 9, which is board member report. Mr. Morgan?
Yeah, so you'll see one packet and one double-sided sheet. So this is just meeting notes and resources that they give out at each HVED meeting. So this is from February. But if you open the packet up and you turn to page 2 and 3, this will give you, the where we're at in the process. They're in, that Winona Mall property had been there for many, many, many years, and I think it was built it got started being developed in like the 60s or 70s, so there are a lot of handshake easements that, we are now 2, 3, 4 owners past. So there's some, there's some lines, a little bit of a minefield there. Nothing that's gonna, stop at all progress, but going further back into the packet, you'll see they got a curveball thrown at them by the Minnesota Department of Ed, I think the beginning of February, saying, hey, we don't like what you're doing, even though they had already approved it. Smells like government to me there. They responded quickly, and it's all fine. There was a question, I forget who asked last time, if all the member districts had passed the joint practice agreement. They have. That happened last fall when we did our test. I think Caledonia passed the next week. So they are currently, they've got an ALC at Minnesota State Tech campus there in Winona, and they have so many kids in the ALC now that they're planning on moving over to the HVED building, which is right across from the Winona High School. And we're adding a couple more staff members just because the needs are not going away. And I had asked, how many La Crescent kids are in there, and all I remember was, I think we're up to 6 in the ALC. Of course, Jake isn't here to verify that, but
I think that's accurate.
okay. Not to mention, all the pushing stuff they come in from district to district. But yeah, if you've got any questions, also I wanted to point out, if any of you have special needs kids, or you have friends or family members HVED runs a Parents with Children in Special Education, SEAC, Special Education Advisory Council. With a website, I was thinking maybe I'd give this to Brittany or Beth. Maybe we can put it on our website. Just another resource for families to have if there are questions. Lots of resources. Yeah, and community info. So.
I have a question. So you said enrollment's high with the ALC.
Yeah.
What district seems to be? Is there any one school district that seems to be seeing an uptick, or?
Well, Plainview's the largest. We're like the 4th largest.
Okay.
I think Plainview actually has an ALC right in their building.
Oh.
Because they have. Jerry, what's Plainview? 150 kids a class, maybe?
No, they're not that big. Probably 100.
Okay, well.
20, maybe 100, 150, 100.
It kind of falls with the population. Every once in a while, you know, Mabel or Spring Grove or, you know, one of the one-offs will have a rough year or whatever is happening. But yeah.
Thank you.
But yeah, they're on track. And then I just want to take a minute to, you know, kids using the bus is a privilege, not a right.
Yeah.
And so I think that, you know, some tough conversations can be had with those parents. And I know, you know, if you want to motivate parents, pull the bus away from them.
Exactly.
Because that's a giant pain in the rear. So, you know. And Dell, I'm sorry I didn't recognize you when I walked in. Good to see you, Mr. Wright.
It's fine.
Okay. And then I wanted to spike the footballs with April and the other softball people. I don't know if anyone has noticed or not, but some magic is happening just down the street. So I applaud your efforts on that. Even though we voted on it as a board, but I know that you were working quite heavily in the back.
Sure.
So thank you for doing that. And I just want to remind all our board members there are good things happening in the district. So just try and remember that.
Lots of good things.
All I got.
Thank you, Mr. Marcus. Nikki.
I just wanted to touch, I was at a community establishment, and there is an endeavor called the Little Heart Project. Kathleen Jensen's local area, meaning local like tri-state area, that is a founder and creator of this project. They have a website. I gave everybody this cute little knitted heart, and it's got a little memo on it, and really it's to highlight and remind people of the mental health resources that are available and the hotlines that are available. I've seen these all over, from gift shops to craft fairs to restaurants. So you'll see these, and it makes me smile when I see these, because it is a bunch of ladies that got together and started knitting these and decided to turn this into something that's bigger than itself. And so there's a website. They have patterns if people want to chip in and start their own little heart mission and help spread some sunshine for somebody who might happen across this little message that might need it that day. So yeah, everything from the Little Heart Project, I just quickly was inspired by a similar project in Texas called the Peyton Heart Project. And the gal that started this had battled her own PTSD, depression, and suicidal ideation, who wanted to spread awareness. They're always looking for people to help make hearts. There's their website is Little Heart Project. Well, their email, pardon me, is littleheartproj@gmail.com. But they also have their little website, and like I said, there's patterns, there's tags. You can ask them to come and drop off a bucket. They can do all kinds of things, and they're also on our local social media, Instagram, Facebook, and we'll go with that. So yeah, I just wanted to share that little bit.
Thank you.
Yep. That's all I have.
Okay. Yeah. District-wide staff development kind of just went over their calendar for the year and made some plans using some restorative practice workshops and the READ Act coming up. Oversight is on track to roll out frontline forms in September. They were working on their panorama, which is QComp required engagement data that they do and take care of. And then continuing ed is working hard just to make sure that all of our staff keep their licenses up and up to date. Everything's looking good.
Thank you.
I have nothing to report.
I'll just note, I was contacted by Channel 8 today, so they are going to be interviewing us at the softball field tomorrow. To do a story about the improvements and the lights. And of course, it's, you know, all the boosters, lots of people, community members, and then thank the district for recognizing the importance of equity for all Lancer athletes. And whether those lights are turned on 10 times or 100, the girls know that they're there. And that's important.
I think it was amazing to see and to get the pictures, and we'll put those out because it's been something people have worked on for a long time. And I get all teary just thinking about the fact that we're there now.
Well, with the Legion softball team now, there's a lot of energy around that sport.
It's just long overdue.
Yeah, very much so.
It needed to happen a long time ago, and it didn't, but it is now, and that's what's important.
Yep.
Lots of people fought for a very long time, so thank you,
Yeah.
April.
Yeah.
She kind of led that charge for a really long time with a lot of other people.
And then the only other thing I'll note is far less exciting topic. Next month before our board meeting, we do have a working session, and that is to review the handbook. And
So it'll start at 5?
yeah, right? Yeah.
Separate announcement.
Yeah, I'm prepared for your announcement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just kind of making the announcement now. Many of you know Ryan Behrens, who's one of our school psychs. Ryan and Liz, his wife, just welcomed their newest member of the family. His name is Logan Jeffrey Ryan, and he was born at 7/12 this morning.
Aww.
So our Lancer family is growing.
That's
and
awesome.
yes, very excited about that. So, and Liz is doing well, and so is Ryan. Liz went through most of it, but Ryan is doing okay too, from what I understand.
Okay, moving on. We are on administrative reports. High school. Do you want to speak to anything in that maybe, or just? We all read it.
Yeah. Jake was not here today. He is out for medical leave this afternoon, but hopefully everyone was able to read his report. And if you have any questions, let me know and I can make sure we get back to you on that. And I'm out on medical too, so you'll see the superintendent's report is not blue and filled in either because I just didn't get to it. But I did go to the hospital today and I was approved to drive. So that's a good thing. So I should be able to start getting back to work now.
And what is it that you drive? Just to make sure.
A CRV. So it's a blue CRV. Just stay out of the way of any Honda. Like, yeah.
So for high school, I mean, I did note there's some, kind of concerning things with students at risk of not graduating and I mean, it's kind of an elephant in the room, so I'm just going to say it. Like, I don't know that changing the king and queen is the thing spend our time on. Like, that is not the biggest problem we have in our district right now. And it's very clear from the students that that is not what they want, and it's their problem. And I thought we resolved this at homecoming. And in the September board meeting, we were told that they can have a king and queen if they want a king and queen. And here we are again. So I do think we need to update handbook language to make that very clear. And it's their problem. So I don't know why we're here again talking about this. So I will leave it at that. I know Jacob isn't here, and you don't need to make a decision at this meeting, but there's far more important things for us to be focused on. Yeah.
Is that, and just with respect to what you just said, is that the responsibility of Jacob to update that then? Or where?
The handbook language?
Yeah.
I think Mindy is planning to work with Jacob on that.
Okay.
But I
Just
don't
so
want to
there's
be here
clarity.
next September for that homecoming, talking about this again and having more students, another grade of students having to
be negatively impacted.
Right.
Just full transparency. Good. Yep.
Okay. Anyone? We'll move on to middle school.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna go through my report. What I would like to do is just recognize and show appreciation for my teachers that they came and presented tonight. They did a wonderful job of sharing out the work that was done by my entire staff. And that's one of the things that we focused on was recognizing and celebrating the things that are going well, but also the only way to move forward is to identify areas that need to be improved on, and they're doing that, and they're putting in the work, and so I'm very proud of them. Yeah, so I will miss my staff tremendously.
Yeah, we'll miss you too, Josh.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Elementary.
Recent kindergarten open house was a success, and partially we think we've had some strong early returns of registrants for next year's kindergarten, partially because of an incentive that was made possible by our PTO, and we had one lucky early registering family win a gift card for that, and I think it just created a positive buzz about enrolling in our school, and so we're hopeful for strong enrollment numbers. Coming up next month, April 4th, save the date for Bringing Books to Life. It's our annual storybook character night. There it is. So some good things happening around here. We're hoping for green grass after the snow or whatever's going to happen.
I'll believe it when I see it.
I know you read your first line there that spring is here to stay.
Yeah,
You
I
wrote that a little
know. It was 70 degrees when I wrote this board report. Not today.
Blame Jeff if we get snow.
Yep.
Totally just
Yep.
tanked us.
Yeah. Hey, the sun's still out. So. No, my books will be surrounding an evening at the symphony. There will be musical vignettes, and a tuxedo will be worn.
That's great.
No motorcycle this
No
year?
motorcycle this year.
Oh.
I think I scared some kids.
The motorcycle was like the hit last year.
Do you have enough readers?
We have a pretty full slate. Yeah. There's probably, I think they were trying to cut off, so we can make a solid grid, but we've got some outstanding teaching staff that have stepped up to help organize that, and we've got every single teaching grade level and department represented that night. So I'm very happy to report that. We've got staff engagement for a fun evening activity.
Yep. Even Dio is represented.
Yes.
Well, Nate Byam, you guys know Nate?
Yeah.
So he and I did it one year, and we read Everybody Poops. You remember that book, right? That was probably your kid's favorite book.
And we're potty training Eleanor right now, so
Yeah.
I'm with you.
And Chuck Dockendorf was a big, he would always come and read too. So maybe next year we can have a school board group.
That would be hilarious.
Did you wear like a
Yeah, totally. Got to commit.
Captain Underhand.
whatever it is,
Captain Underpants.
just to get through them. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
I was at a kindergarten registration night. I was here for the public hearing comments, so not the exciting part of it. But they had like the Lancer backdrop, and then the kids had their little graduation year, and it was the cutest flippin' thing that it was adorable. Yeah, so good job.
So yeah, it was a fun, there's some really great people. Christy Tessing does a ton to organize that event, and Mindy's been very supportive as well. Just creative ideas to make it kind of a social media thing, kind of like a signing day for the kids or a photo booth.
That's awesome.
And they had these giant cookies in their little hands.
Oh. The cookies were bigger than their hands.
Yeah, it was
So,
adorable.
That's cute.
Okay, back community ed.
All right. Well, I've got good news, bad news. The great news is Discovery Preschool we had our first enrollment window open for current families and for staff, and we netted 51 kids in that. And then we opened up our general registration last Thursday night, and we made it up to 69 students, and we can take 76. I just checked today, we had 2 more add, so we're now at 71, and we have our first wait lister for the 3K class. We will have to open up 2 full-time 3K classes right now, and those are both filled with 1 on a wait list. And so we've got 5 spots left in 4K, which has never happened before, and we couldn't be prouder of the program. So we are still accommodating, we have 8 families that have requested part-day programming, so we're still going to be able to accommodate them as well.
Great.
So, yeah.
Staffing?
Yeah, the staffing for preschool is great. Staffing for Kids Co, Cheyenne has resigned and taken a special ed para position over at Irving Perch in Alaska. So I'm, as heading into the biggest part of the year, summer, frantically looking for a coordinator. So yeah, and we're still trying to get the summer catalog done and out this Saturday if you want to shop indoors at our March Madness indoor garage sale, which is a partnership with the junior class officers. So proceeds to support prom. And yeah, that's about it. I wrapped up my 6 years representing the district on the Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Board last month. So it's been a great experience. We'll keep them in touch. I'll keep going to the regular general meetings so that the chamber can hear updates from school as well.
Beth, is there any insight into that position and the turnover? That, like, is it pay? Is it hours? Is it
It's been different.
responsibility?
It's been different for every single person that has turned over since I've been here. We've had 2 get their once-in-a-lifetime job offers. Had one that we decided it was best they not return, and and then this, Cheyenne's great, but she really just misses being with kids all day, all the time. So that's what her heart is telling her to do. Other questions?
I think we talked about when you and I spoke, kind of reevaluating, seeing what can we do to try and create, redesign that position so that it is something that will be a little more sustainable.
Yeah, and I wrote that in that paragraph. You're right, I forgot to mention it. I'm looking to brainstorm, is there a way I can strip some of the more clerical pieces of it away so that there can be more kid time and just anything that would make sense and be more appealing to actually keep someone in the role. She's done an excellent job. She's got the kids learning sign language. When it's snack time, they all sit down in the cafeteria. It's chaotic for 5 to 10 minutes because we have to let all the drop off and pick up kids get out before we head out onto the playground. And so she, will hold up the letter with the sign and if your name begins with whatever sign she's holding up, then you can go get your snack. She's re-implemented our Kids Co Kiddo of the Week on social media, so
This is the gal that's leading.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Do you mind, is it like a 0.5?
No, it's a 1.0 position.
It is a
year round.
full-time. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
It's a big job.
Okay.
And we add assistant support in the summer.
Okay. Is it hard getting applicants, or is it hard finding qualified applicants?
Both.
Okay. trying to.
Last
think
time
of
we
the
didn't
date.
get, last time it was open, I phoned Cheyenne when she accidentally applied for a preschool para position. I'm like, actually, no, it looks like you'd be perfect for this. And she did a great job, but just misses kids too much.
Sure. I'm just picturing some of the college kids.
I'm going to do some
Well,
meeting
it's
with,
hard to
I
do
sent
that.
it out to all of my staff, especially my graduating seniors, asking
Yeah.
if anybody's interested in even just test driving part of the position for an interim amount of time, whether it's now to the end of the school year or for part of the summer. So hopefully I have somebody that will take me up on that.
What is the summer hours you're needing? I'm sorry to keep asking, sorry.
Full time, and with the kids coordinator
like-
position, they alter. So
Is
that
it like 7 to 3?
Nope,
or?
not set. It's we rotate so that some days they come in early so that they can observe what happens when they open at 6:30.
Okay.
And then they would obviously go home earlier that day. Other times I want them to come in later so they can stay to see what the closing shift part looks like.
Okay.
And just make sure everything's going smoothly. And then they have other days in between, 8 to 4. So
Very flexible.
very flexible.
That's great.
Does the coordinator also have to cover shifts if we're short-staffed?
Yep.
To watch kids?
So does the director, so does our registration secretary, and so does our operations coordinator. And Brittany on occasion.
Also Brittany does.
Yeah.
Yeah, a SWAT team.
Yeah. Yep, we survived last week, UWL spring break, so that was huge.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Any other questions for Beth? Moving on. Pat?
We met with Apex, and it was about 3 weeks ago, and they gave us a kind of a temporary timeline. But a couple of things to note: June 17th, they will be shutting down the chiller and start the removal of that down in the basement between the concessions and the kitchen. And then the second thing is there's a map shared on that link. There's like a portion of the building that's going to be very heavily under construction, like ceilings will be taken out and fixtures and LED lights, and new ceiling will be in there to replace that. Sorry about that, that's just really super small, but you can enlarge it. But that's the most up-to-date timeline calendar we have. We have a meeting on the 15th of May, prior to the board meeting, facilities committee meeting. I'm thinking they'll have a more up-to-date timeline. But, and then we have some LTFM projects going on this summer. I shared them, but there's one to note that I didn't put on there. It's in the middle school, we're replacing the ceiling tiles and replacing LED lights, or replacing the lights with LED fixtures and lights. And that's like the second phase. Last year we did the hallways. This summer's middle school, and then lastly, the most difficult one's the high school because the ceilings are really compact. And then in the library, I guess that's getting a big overhaul. Brittany McGuire and a group of students picked out the carpet and the laminate tops, but I think they're still in the process of picking out the furniture. Working with a couple of vendors. I forgot to mention in the vestibule, you click on that logo, that's a carpet tile. We're going to put branding inside the main entrance, so when you walk in, you'll see the Lancer logos. There's probably going to be 2 or 3 of them right built into the carpet. Cool. So I think that'll be pretty neat.
Yeah.
And that's all I have.
And those are all replaceable tiles when we get more down. Sweet.
And a couple of pictures.
Befores and afters.
That's the baseball pad, bleacher pad. That was poured last Friday.
Has George been helping?
No, he has not been out here. He wasn't feeling too good here for a little bit, so I think he's on the mend. He should be back out there shortly.
Somebody better keep an eye on him.
Okay, for me, I just want to preface by saying, don't think that this guy here doesn't think he's having a stroke or something. I have Bell's palsy that has been kind of starting to get movement on my mouth, which has been slow going. So It's more of a nuisance than anything, but just in case anybody knows and doesn't think I don't realize there's something.
Don't call the ambulance.
Going on. Right? And Nikki was kind enough one time to actually call to make sure there wasn't anything. And that doesn't bother you, just so everybody is aware of that.
My running shoes on. I was
Yeah,
like,
I know. It actually now is starting to, it's been slow, but it is coming back. First, I want to thank Josh, now and congratulate you on your new job, but it's been really cool to work with Josh and doing some things. He's allowed me, he's given great insight and allowed me into some things that my position wouldn't always see, I don't think, at different times, and the growth that is. So I thank you for that, Josh, very, very much. Secondly, when Lily said there hasn't been much going on, she's not in the same day I'm in. So we have been, as we wrapped up our winter sports, anybody that was at the hockey games, our home game and our away game is every single thing that high school sports should ever look like. We had 3 deep all the way around the rink, and I mean, it was an incredible atmosphere.
Looked like a refugee camp.
It did. I mean,
they were hanging off the rafters.
I think we had over 800 people there.
It was
it was crazy in there. And then the one in Rochester was every bit as fun. I mean, it was just a great job. Uriah had done an awesome job with them. They went 24-3, losing to Dodge County in the section semifinal, and that was it was just an incredible season. Wyatt Farrell finished as the tie all-time Minnesota State High School League in goal scored. So there's really some cool things, and we really got the that hockey program kind of really with a lot of buzz here and a lot of getting some recognition around the state, which is really cool. Our boys basketball team had, for the first time since 2010, was the Three Rivers Conference champions, which was really cool too. And the game we beat Caledonia for the first time. I think that was also since 2010 in our gym, and that was really an awesome moment too. The student section got to storm the court, which any of that stuff is so fun to be a part of. What's that?
We can thank the band.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
The band was awesome at our events there, and then even at some of the Eric still is here. I thought you had to stay. And Eric also got Eric Chapman got our drum line at some of the hockey games, including the playoff game, and that made that atmosphere even better. So all of those games, and they do an unbelievable job, and thanks for doing that. Our girls basketball team and wrestling team are both kind of in rebuilding mode right now. Wrestling did get up to 24 kids. I think last year they finished with 7, so that was huge. They finished with all of them this year. And we hosted a JV wrestling tournament, which went really, really well. And our gymnastics program, and I think Mindy and I were really proud to be part of this, was on the rocks pretty hard there in the fall. And they competed a team in the sections and filled their spots and did really, really well. And I think Mindy and I both can say we were really, really proud because we worked with these girls a lot at the beginning of the year. So that was really cool. We did get our spring sports have started. Everybody's practiced by now. The softball field looks awesome there, but they've been out. We've actually got a little bit of a jump start outside. And today we spent a little more time in the gym again with baseball and softball. But we've gotten more time outside than we typically do because of some early good weather. Hopefully we can kind of navigate through this here and get back outside and not have a lot of snow to do that. But so far our numbers, we'll get to the bottom. We do have coaching surveys out to kids and parents right now. Some of you in this room probably have gotten them. And we'll be reevaluating that and then we'll do exit meetings and things with all the coaches. We're kind of in the middle of those with our head coaches and our programs right now as well. So we go down, you can see our numbers. Our numbers are really good program-wide. Softball, we could probably use a little more at the upper level, so we're probably not going to have a 9th grade team there. We'll probably play some games. But as we go, 58 girls in softball, 56 in baseball. And again, baseball doesn't have a ton of seniors, so we always like to keep those numbers as high as we can. So that's what we're kind of striving for. and in our surveys, we're trying to see anything that can help us get better. 72 kids in track is up quite a few from last year. That's a good number in track. And boys golf actually is up to 25 right now, so that has gone up since we did this. And girls golf with 10. So it left us with these numbers. I think at the high school level alone, we had 150 participants. In our MSHSL enrollment number is 247, so it's like 61% are in a spring sport, not including band and one-act play and everything. Just in the sports alone, we have 6. So we're getting a lot of participation in our activities right now, which is what we want, and what we want going forward is to try to get as many kids as we can involved in something.
And Terry, can you speak a little bit to our cooperative agreement with one of the other schools for the track?
Oh, yeah. So
just letting board members know that this is something we're doing kind of as a good neighbor.
Yeah, so Aquinas had reached out to us on sharing our track twice a week. They've had a long-term agreement with UWL that has a little friction in it right now, and I don't know what it had to do with money or whatever it was, but they reached out to us and asked if there's any chance. So I talked to Abe, and Abe was all about it. And then worked with Mindy and Beth to kind of come up with an agreement. So they're actually paying rent while they're here, so we get a little income on it. And our track kids get to see one of the top track programs with a couple really good coaches out there, daily too. So they got a lot of great athletes. They had I think a 4x1 state championship team last year. So they get to see some of these kids on a daily basis too, which hopefully will help motivate them. But on top of us kind of doing a good deed, we get a little bit of money for it, and Abe was really excited to work with them. So I think it's a win-win overall.
Thank you.
And we do have their certificate of liability coverage on file.
Yes.
So they're just basically renting the track. They're not teaming up with us.
They're not teaming up with us. They're not doing any home meets there. It is strictly 2 days a week to come over and practice with us, and we're kind of sharing some of the coaching as we go back and forth. So Abe really has opened up to whatever they want. He really works well with them. We use a little of their coaching. He helps a little bit of theirs. It works out. So far, I've been out there a few days, and it works really good.
Great.
Good.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you.
Alright, Mindy, you're up. Pretty much just recovering right now. I can do this now, which is something I couldn't do before, which is stand up and bear weight on both legs, so that's a good thing. I did get the okie dokie from my doc today that I can start driving. And so I should be in the district now, moving forward. What the doc's note says is as tolerated. So I'll come in, and as long as I can be here and not falling asleep at my desk, with Brittany having to throw stuff at me to wake me up, I'll be okay. But I'm thinking that's going to happen fairly quickly, so I should be back in the swing of things much more, in the office as opposed to just at home. I've been working about 8 hours a day minimum at home, but I'm looking forward to being back in the office and not having to see only my house and the bunnies and birds and everything else that are in my yard. So looking forward to that. So we'll move forward with that.
Alright, we're glad you're here.
Mindy, do you think with the principal hiring and the planning that's going to go into that, do you think that you're going to need more support or help?
No, I think we've got it covered. The advertisement is out right now. My guess is that we will be done with advertising right around that first week of April, and we should start interviewing at that point. I meet with the middle school team coming up next week. Yep. Met with the BLT earlier this week, and I meet with the middle school team about questions for the principal hire next week. And then we'll have everything kind of set and rolling. And I know we have at least, what is it now, Brittany? 2 or? I know I have 1 for sure app that's come in.
Oh, I have not.
And I think there's at least 2 or 3 apps that have come in so far.
How much longer is that open for?
Through the 5th. April 5th, I think, is the last day. That's the Friday.
So do you post that through MASA or MSBA or?
It's going to be posted through the St. Cloud website. EdPost.
Okay.
Then it's also posted through Handshake and
our website automatically syncs with Indeed.
Okay.
Not sure about like Mata and tobacco and MSBA.
And the interesting thing is with the EdPost, which is the St. Cloud site, that has been what the industry standard is for years and years. However, and MDE said, use that and put it out there, and that was kind of their way to go, their prescribed way to advertise for a teaching or principal positions or any education position. However, MDE never gave anything to St. Cloud. So it was just something that they did on their own, that St. Cloud did, so there was no compensation given to them. And so now they're saying, coming up, what is it,
Monday.
On Monday, they're going to stop advertising unlimited on EdPost. They'll only do it 7 days at a time. And so we've got to kind of figure out what happens after that. So.
Any other questions? Alrighty, Education Minnesota.
Hey everyone, I'm Miss Siri Bangura. I'm here representing Ed Minnesota on behalf of Cody, who was not able to attend tonight. So I'm just going to go through some of the news in the classroom. The first one here, we have facts with Heather Fitzloff. She's teaching our students how to be the next Julia Child, it seems. If anyone here has ever seen Julie and Julia, the movie, I feel like this is what is happening. So, but also if you ever get a chance to visit that hallway where she's located, you will smell some wonderful things, and the students are doing a great job. I've only ever heard of positive things from what they've made, and so yeah, who knows, you might get to sneak a taste too. At least I do whenever I go down there. So there's a few pictures of what they've been up to. Then we have our 3rd graders who are learning to play some new instruments. And as you can see, the xylophones are on their computers. I think this is kind of a throwback to COVID days when they had to learn how to play instruments on the computer. And I know that Barb has got recorders coming up here soon, which is my favorite time of the year. So I have a 4th grader, and I am not looking forward to that. But yes, xylophones for now. All right. In Discovery Preschool, we had the WTC students come and teach about good oral care and oral hygiene. I think they got toothbrushes and some extra things.
Floss.
Yes, floss. Hopefully our students will continue to practice those good things at home, as well as, turn taking. That's always good. Helps to learn that at an early age so that they can continue those skills later on in life. As Lily kind of discussed already, the blood drive was a really big success. The students did a phenomenal job with helping to organize that, and of course we got really great feedback from the Red Cross about that. And I know I talked with one of my students, and he said that, because he's in the community leadership class, he said that he had a really good time doing this. So thank you to everyone that donated blood. Is that what it's called? Donated? Gave? I guess you can't really. I don't know. Anyway, who gave blood and participated in it. So. Then we have our anatomy and physiology class. That's always interesting when they start doing dissections, especially of cows' eyes. Yeah, if you're queasy, don't go near there. And Mrs. Cox had a really great season with the math team. As you can see, there's a couple students that are circled there who did really well this year, including Cameron Jorgensen, who's on the bottom right there. She went all the way to state, and I think Mrs. Cox had to take off at 4 a.m., I think is what she said, to get there in time, or something very early. So thank you to her, and thank you to Cameron for representing the Lancers. Sorry, that's the next page where she's kind of featured there. Yep. And then we had our STEM in the Real World, where I believe, well, I know Mrs. Hawk, can't remember what other teachers, took quite a few juniors and seniors to Winona State University for their STEM day. I know talking to some of my students, they had a really good time there, learned a lot. And as you can see in the following pictures, there were many different activities that they got to participate in and learn all about science, technology, engineering, and I always forget the M. Math, thank you. I want to call it mechanics, but it's not that. So. In Mr. Lurkey's science class, they were working on hand balances, and I think, you know, kids in his class do a lot of hands-on activities, and definitely that day they had a really fun time learning about the different weights of different properties, I guess. So, yeah. And then the last picture there is just a video of how that looked in live action. If it plays, I don't know if it will or not, but it's about a 30-second video there. Oh, maybe not. It's just Mr. Lurkey panning through the classroom, showing the students taking their data, writing it down, participating in groups, having fun learning, doing all the fun things that we like to see at school. So, yeah.
Before we give up, I know. Cyber safe.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, no.
Okay, that's right. Thank you.
It's a good try.
I feel like it was a good closed caption of video. Yeah, closed captioned it for us.
Yes. Oh, that I did?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, while she was trying to load.
Yeah.
We got it. We get it.
Yeah. You can watch it on your own time, I guess, later.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Good presentation.
Perseverance.
Okay. We're on to 12A, Superintendent Evaluation Summary. In your folders, board members, you have copies, paper copies of the actual comments that were submitted by 6 out of 7 board members. So you can read those comments while you're here tonight, and then they need to come back in the folders and they will be shred. So what I have in the board agenda is a summary. So I took those 6 of 7 board member comments and I summarized those. And then Darcy and I met with Mindy on Friday and we reviewed the summary. So Mindy has seen all the comments, she has seen the summary, and so for this meeting I will read the summaries and you can peruse the actual comments while I'm doing that if you would like. So for goal 1, the goal was to ensure work issues are being handled by the appropriate levels and roles. As a board, the outcome was this is partially being met. The superintendent has regular meetings and statuses with direct reports. Board members provided specific examples of situations not being addressed effectively by management and administration levels that ended up at the superintendent or board level to address. Chain of command not being followed within the district was noted. There are also examples from the board of notable improvements being made from where we've been in past years, and understand it will take more time and changes to see significant improvements. For goal 2, which is communications, as a board, we felt this was partially being met. The board noted the superintendent is very active and visible in the community and is also approachable. She has written articles for the Argus and will be sharing school district information in the community ed catalog each publication. The strategic plan was communicated and received well by the community. The board noted more direct communications from the district to parents and staff is still a gap. Some administration communicates regularly with parents and staff and others do not. The board would like to receive more consistent written communication from the superintendent about current issues in the district. The board would also like to see more communication to the community via social media and other means of communication to share the positive things happening in the district. The superintendent and district should err on the side of over-communication to achieve this goal. And moving along to goal 3. That goal was addressing ineffective staff performance within the school district. We felt this was partially being met. The board noted improvements have been made with this goal and are aware that staff and administration are now receiving regular performance evaluations. No members of the school board are able to view district employee evaluations or personnel documentation, and the board is only involved in directly evaluating the superintendent. The board noted that this goal ties to goal number 1 in that some issues are not being effectively addressed at the right levels due to ineffective staff performance, and the board provided examples of this happening. The board noted examples of staff and administration not following policies and handbook and trusts that this has been addressed. The board supports the superintendent holding administration accountable to perform their jobs and follow district policies. The board acknowledged it is also difficult to fill positions and we need to trust people to do their jobs. And then overall comments. The board noted that grace and patience are needed from all parties, including the board, to continue to see improvements in our district. The board recognizes the superintendent is very caring, qualified, and capable of leading our district and has made significant improvements to long-standing gaps during her tenure with the district, such as setting strategic plan and establishing a facilities maintenance plan. The board noted examples of 3 goals not being fully met, and those things directly impact the superintendent's ability to have the time and focus to address district-level priorities. The majority of examples provided by the board are management and administration level issues that cannot be directly addressed by the board. The board would like to thank Superintendent Crowley for all the positive changes we're seeing thus far and will continue to support her ongoing work on these goals.
Thanks.
Can you scroll to the top of that? 6 of 7.
Can I just ask you guys to please fill out the thing?
Wasn't that corrected? Nope.
So there was one person who didn't fill out.
Yeah, we reopened it. We
still
had 6 of 7 responses.
Just going forward, come on, we can do better.
Whether you like the questions or not, you should fill it out.
I won't go down that one.
I will with you if you want.
No.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions, comments from the board or Navdeep? Okay. We will then, the next would be the end of year, right? So you'll, the same thing, you'll get surveyed again for end of year. We'll do a summary and then we'll start the process of picking new goals that we all love and embrace for next school year.
Yeah.
Which we're all attending to.
Yes. Okay. Moving along. Budget update.
Okay, I'll just comment for Julie, she is not able to be here. There have been a bunch of things that kind of have gone on recently. But everything,
In
no,
her
not with the
personal life,
budget.
you mean, not
Personal
her
stuff.
job. No, okay.
Her
Can you make it
daughter,
bigger?
Unfortunately, her daughter got attacked by a tomcat. And the tomcat was,
We don't have-
yeah,
let's not
it was
disclose
not
here.
okay. And so
Okay.
she's not here because she's taking care of some
Okay.
personal stuff.
That's
But
okay.
everything looks good. We will have a revised budget for April to go over with the board.
So what's our unassigned end? For general fund?
Are you wanting the fund balance percent?
10.75.
Well, I like to see dollar number. Okay, all right.
First column,
Yep.
That's all right. It's okay.
That did drop down a little bit, didn't it? 10% unassigned?
Yeah,
I thought we were
10.75.
up like 11% last.
Yeah, that will fluctuate.
Yeah.
Throughout the year a little bit, just because depending on where MDE reimburses us.
Yeah.
Where we're at there, so.
And you said next month we'll get the revised?
Yes, revised budget should come through next month, so.
Anything else on budget or balance sheet? Enrollment.
I know we're getting 2 more middle schoolers. I have a registration appointment on Monday, and then I just processed for one today, who's starting Monday.
One's a 6th grader. I think
Yep.
that's the one that went through today. I don't remember the other one. 7th grade maybe.
And what I say, that's right.
Okay. Any other questions, comments on that? All right, student behavior. I have a question. When the bus incidents are sent from the bus drivers, is that reflected on here? And if not, can we have that added as something that's tracked?
Like a write-up?
It's not reflected on there, and it certainly could be.
Who does it go to?
It goes to the building principal that the student attends.
There's cameras on every bus, right?
I don't know if they're on
There
every
is?
bus or not.
Okay.
I think
So there's
almost
your
everyone.
answer to the parents who say that their kids, are angels. Here's, please look at the screen for.
Right, but that requires follow-up by our side. And
Making sure that.
what we're hearing is that's not happening.
So I'm sure we can work on that.
Yep, we can add bus write-ups in that.
Yeah.
Want it in a phone call?
I
think so.
I mean, you don't track it as a behavioral referral, you track it as something different? Or is it counted as a behavioral referral?
You could count on 3 fingers how many I've received this year from the bus company. So that does not go into Infinite Campus.
That stays out of Infinite Campus, because it's not at the school ground.
But it is an extension of the school.
It is considered school grounds.
So it
The
could
bus
reflect
stop the bus, et cetera, are all an extension of the school.
Or affect their extracurricular activities if they're
Continually,
missing.
yeah. Do separate, probably to start with it.
Yeah, my son's on a younger bus. I don't mean to call him out, so I'm not gonna say a name, but he has come home many times and said so-and-so doesn't get to ride the bus for the next couple days or whatever because he's being a turd or whatever. But I just wanted to mention that I do think there's something happening. I just don't think, maybe it's just not in everybody's view. And so just not to...
What they're doing is moving it from one bus to the next. Why go from one bus driver to the next to take on that problem?
Okay.
It's shifted over.
So you're having a next driver having to mess with that kid.
Yeah.
But the ready people would be making that decision, not you guys.
Wouldn't it be the school decides on who rides?
It's the school.
Yeah. The school decides on who rides.
Okay, so we can add.
Yep.
I think just add a separate column for now, and if we want to put them together later, we can.
I agree. Since they're tracked separately today,
Just keep it
make it
separate.
a separate column. Then we understand too what grade levels is happening, like what grade it is.
I'm curious too. There's a lot of kids from middle school, elementary, middle school, and high school on a bus that I'm familiar with. So that's a lot of developmental gaps also, that they're having to manage. So
how do you guys know if a kid's been disciplined? He might have been disciplined, the kid just hopped on the bus. How do you know?
We don't. They don't let us know.
If he's not allowed on the bus, do they follow up with the driver and say this person's not allowed to ride, or?
Well, like I'm not going to give you a name, but there's one student that's been on 3 different buses right now, and he's just elementary. He's just second grade.
Do they tell you though that he's not supposed to ride with you anymore?
That he's not riding with us?
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll tell us that he's going on he's going on whoever else.
Okay.
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 Anything else on the video?
no, thank you. I think that's great.
Good idea.
Thanks for adding that, Brittany.
See, there was 2 bully reports. Should we check into those? Bullying reports, right?
Yeah.
Or 4 in middle school.
Yeah, there's already 3 since I filled that out, so next month is going to be at least 3.
Yeah.
2 of which are founded.
Oh yeah.
Which is also going to be represented in the number of suspensions next month.
It's good to hear.
So,
But sucks that we're having them, but
yep.
Appreciate the follow up and
that's
follow through.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes.
Indigo juniors, they know nothing this month.
Yeah. Behaving for it. They'll make it.
Okay, the policies. Okay. These keep deferring them from month to month because I don't know what to do with them. I don't think we're following them. And we either need to follow what's in the policy or change the policy. And so, like, for example,
I didn't see any red line, I was looking.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's my fault.
yeah, that I put comment.
Who's on curriculum?
Well, from my understanding,
Like,
years ago they
like,
dropped
okay, so
curriculum,
see,
committee.
Brittany sent this to admin. Admin looked at it and said, we think that advisory committee, do you have an advisory committee? Or something. Admin, yeah. Admin. But see, letter B says that it needs to include community residents and students and I don't think we have a committee that helps with curriculum, right?
I feel like that was taken away, yeah, like we had it.
We used to have a
and then it was
curriculum
removed.
committee, and now it's something else. I don't know what it's called though.
So the policy reflects what it's supposed to be, right? I don't think we do that here. So do we want to start doing that, or do we want to change the policy language so that we're not out of compliance with it? And then there's a second policy that goes along with this policy. So there's two policies that have the same kind of topic in it, speaking about the advisory committee, and that it needs to be members of the public and parents and
I don't remember why we removed that.
660.
I feel like it's, I thought it was one that was required.
Or maybe it just wasn't a board required.
So, oh yeah, okay. So admin said, advisory committee is really our oversight and QCOM. So in definitions, I've said advisory committee means this in our policy, right? But oversight and QCOM doesn't have members of the public, and so we either need to create an actual advisory committee, or we need to change the policy so it's not saying that we include members of the public.
And I asked at the last month, and I was told, oh no, that was for a different meeting. That was for staff development, that I was the member of the public that was joining that committee. But that wasn't those two. That was different.
Okay.
I think I'm on those ones as a board.
Development or
Oversight and QCOM.
I'll do oversight and QCOM as the board.
As the board, right. And I'm on staff development as a.
So I mean, this is just the first reading, right? So we don't need to decide tonight, but something's got to change. Either we need to change the policy, or we need to change what we're doing so that we're in compliance with the policy.
And I will update these things. I apologize that you guys weren't able to see the red line, so tomorrow morning I will update so you can go back tomorrow and actually see the changes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brittany.
Do we?
Who's the head of the advisory in QCOM? Do we ask them and make sure?
QCOM now
I feel like they're the ones that need to make that decision.
Is that Nicole? QCOM is Nicole, right?
QCOM is Nicole Greener, but I don't believe they
And
talked about
then
curriculum.
staff development is Karn.
Curriculum.
Which one of those deals with our curriculum?
So QCOM has their own set things that they work on.
Yep. QCOM can, those two are
They're not. I was told that like the curriculum committee is more works on at your like building leadership meetings. And that's what
I'm sure
curriculum
we have
was
it as
input.
the same. So is that not accurate?
But not as a board.
So it's not a board required.
Conway and
that was a group that met last year. Is Loki Chapman, Kitchi, JP, Jeff Dick, Siri, and Amy. That was a group that met last year. And
So
this
we don't
year
have a
we haven't-
curriculum?
We haven't met, so.
Jeff, you haven't, there's been no curriculum meeting?
Pardon? No curriculum.
There's been no curriculum meeting?
No, not that I know. That was told me.
Okay, so do you not have that, or are we supposed to have it and they haven't been meeting?
They haven't been meeting, we haven't been meeting, so if the board wants us to have that, I think that was one of the ones that was.
Thursday.
Curriculum,
Yeah. I mean, I don't have an opinion.
15 during school.
Doesn't matter to me, but what we're
have in writing is not what we're doing. So
policy.
we have to start doing it or take it out of the policy. So we're not out of compliance with our own policy. So it's first reading, so just ponder it, figure out whatever.
Circle back.
We'll figure it out and we'll circle back.
Maybe look up what MSB, did you look at what MSB's model policy is for curriculum?
That is.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
This is the model policy. Yep.
And they say we should.
I just made the edit of adding the definition that advisory committee is QCOM. That was based on what Jacob gave feedback when I sent this out before.
Okay.
But if they don't talk about curriculum,
And, you know, Bob Radecki might be a community member that would be interested. He was very interested in our grades and our numbers and our. I think he would really enjoy. Is it not Bob? Robert? John. Sorry.
Yeah, I got confused for a second. I was
He's
like,
got a couple kids.
I'm sure Bob's a great guy too. But
yeah.
Okay. John Radecki would probably really enjoy the meeting.
Yeah, so let's just
we could number
get that reviewed for the next reading, and then I can make edits whatever way. But
so just send you messages on what way we think we should go with it, or do we want to have a
no, I mean, I
discussion
think
about
admin needs to decide what way we go with it, right? Like, I think some group needs to be looking at curriculum, but I don't know, have an opinion on what that is.
And we were just talking about that because the district hasn't had a curriculum cycle from what everyone has told me in recent history. You know, I can't find one.
So on our website, under curriculum and instruction, there is something dated from 2017. But, I don't know.
Is it under that committee page?
Yeah. There's a page linked with some overview and tools and stuff. So that might be the last time. And then there was below that 2016 that any curriculum cycle was done. Oh, that is different than the page I'm seeing.
There was.
Yeah. Okay, that's the one I had pulled up.
This is the one you pulled up, Darcy?
That was the one I was just reading now, yeah. I didn't see the one from 20 and 2021. So something was out there earlier.
That's the technology plan, like, just in our 2016 technology plan is a little out of date.
A little bit.
So like some candy down there. Okay. Candy computers. Okay, so more to come on those during the next meeting. Give you all something to look forward to for the April board meeting. We are at the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
I second.
Discussion?
I just think we should acknowledge Jane Getfinger for 28 years as our second grade teacher. Pretty outstanding.
And I just have to say publicly that I have read lots of retirement letters. I don't know that I've ever read one that was better written or that gave more kudos to all the people that supported Jane throughout her career in the Crescent Hoga, including the board giving her opportunities for leadership and administration giving her opportunities for leadership, and kids being there and giving her hugs and wise words, etc. It was a fabulously written letter. So if you have an opportunity to read that, please do. It's a absolute feel good.
Where would we find that?
I can send it to you. It should be in the attachments, but I'll send it to all of you. It's a fabulous letter. like I said, I've done this for over 30 years. I've never read a letter that was as well written that way.
For donations, I've never seen us not list an amount before. Is there a
reason?
I can tell you exactly how much it was. It was like $550. I took a picture of it and deposited it. It was right after a funeral. They must have passed the hat or something like that. And it was in honor of Eunice Dowling. So they literally drove it across the river and dropped it off on the day we didn't have school. I just happened to be in the office, and I remember taking a picture of it and emailing Mindy right away and saying, just so you know, this is coming. So, yeah. Yep.
I just think we should list the, if we're accepting something on behalf of the district, we should know the amount.
When I filled out the form, the amount was listed. I don't know why that says that. Okay. So I will not be thrown under the bus right now for that. You're good. Any other things about that?
Alrighty, and can you pull up the policy? Is the policy already ready to go, Nikki? You're good with, you worked on that one, so you're good with it? Okay. Alright, any other discussion? Okay, those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, consent agenda is approved. Okay, we are on action items, finally. You will recall at the last meeting we had a very well done, well thought out presentation from an Eagle Scout who is in the crowd today. He is very eager to have a decision so that he can move along with his project. So at this time I would like to make a motion that the board approve allowing him to continue to work with administration on his project, and administration will then work with him on funding, how he will fund it, where it will be located, any signage that's required, things. So those types of details would be worked on with administration.
A second.
Okay, discussion.
There. That's, figure that location and all the other stuff out later. Just get this.
I think the location is marked.
Yeah, location is somewhat marked, but I know we were looking at different plans for the softball and baseball field, so if we move something with that, I want to make sure that that doesn't
We're not
affect
moving the softball field after all this.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I know we've thought about moving some of those fields.
Yeah.
Just growing.
You can make a new one, we're never moving.
And at one point I was told that space was like outdoor classroom space down there. We don't use it really. And then it was kind of talked, the teacher said it's too far to walk and get back, and they're
It's been utilized as much as it probably could have been.
To approve
But
allowing the project to move forward.
that space would definitely allow for both of those things to.
Coordination
Oh, still have
with
room for both.
administration.
And, you know, just from admin perspective, we have already allocated funding for a variety of different projects. So this isn't something that would be funded through the school. That was a part of the presentation that was put up. We would be looking and helping our students find additional funding sources. We also have to look at maintenance moving forward. That isn't going to be a draw on our current maintenance staff. And I have talked to our insurance carriers, and as long as we do the postings like our young man told us, if we post specifically, we can make sure we don't have any liabilities with that. So given those kind of precursors to everything else, I think this would be a great thing for our kids, and I'm looking forward to moving forward with this. So.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, those in favor of approving the motion to allow the project to move forward in coordination with administration, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that has been approved. Next, we have the band trip approval because I didn't change policy in time, so you have to come to the board meeting to get the band trip approval. So my apologies. So take it away.
Hi, good evening. I'm Eric Chapman, the high school band director. It's been a fantastic year again this year in the band wing. I've done 2 trips since I've been here. Large trips, over 100 people, 3 buses, a week long, Florida, Clearwater Beach, Disney World, Universal, that sort of thing. I'd like to go November 11th, 2025. It's a big change from what we've done in the past. In the past, we've gone during spring break in March, when we don't have school, and it's been in coordination with calendars and things of that nature. I've done quite a bit of research, and the main reasoning is just the quality of the trip. We want to go during a better time of year, where we are less lines, less crowds, and cheaper prices all at the same time. It is, in pretty much every single possible way, a huge benefit. The main challenge is that we'd be missing school. We'd be missing 4 days of school. We'd be going once every 4 years, which is our new standard schedule. We wouldn't have to worry about coordinating with which spring break and which years, which and things of that nature. It lines up with our marching calendar much better. There's a lot of really great benefits. The band boosters and myself are unanimously really, really in favor of this. The main challenge is just thinking about those 4 days of missed school, which are pretty standard. Other schools, bands, choirs do trips of this nature, and they miss school regularly. Again, it's once every 4 years, and compared to how much school is missed for other activities, it's really not that much. Also, it's anticipated, so it's not like a student who gets sick and misses 3 days of school, and it's really tough to catch back up. It's great students who can anticipate this trip from the very beginning of the school year, communicate with teachers, get ahead in their classes, and stay right on track with their work. So my plan is to go every 4 years. This will be kind of like 3 years because we went in 2022, but it was March of 2022. 4 school years later, it would be November 11th through the 16th, 2025. There's lots more details that I would love to get into, but I can't quite start calling Universal Studios and hotels and things like that until I know some dates. So that's what I'm asking you to say.
Move to approve. Oh, yeah. Second.
Third.
Alrighty, discussion.
How does it align with the sports calendar?
It's right in between sports.
Perfect.
Unless we're playing even the playoffs.
Right. So basically where we go now, there is a small chance, like our last trip, that if the basketball team made it far into state, it would have conflicted with our current time that we usually go. Same thing here. We'll make all those students, aware of those schedules. There is trip insurance that I'm familiar with now after I planned a whole trip in the middle of COVID. That so if a football player, for example, made it far into the state tournament and they couldn't come on the trip, they would have potential insurance for that. They could stay with the football team, go, do all those kind of things. Same with any sport, but for the most part, it would be an extreme situation that it would conflict with any sports. It might conflict with the very beginning, but we kind of nailed right in between those 2 seasons. It should be a great time.
What about kids who are failing?
That would be a policy that I would have to, discuss farther. It's a great point. Typically, band students, on average, wouldn't be in that situation, but absolutely would be something to talk about with the administration. If a student is failing, missing 4 days would be pretty rough. We do have.
You've never run into that situation?
I haven't in my past 2 trips. I've not had that situation. It hasn't been as much of a discussion because we didn't miss any school.
And speaking on the activities thing, a team's gonna make a deep run, you'd never be able to go anyway, so this probably, especially with triple chances, is as good a time as any.
I looked into Thanksgiving, I looked into summer, beginning of school, end of school, many different options, and this is, in my opinion, the best option for sure. 6 years down the road when I'm playing the next one, we'll see how this one goes, but I think it should be great.
Any other discussion?
Is there a reason we're not going more?
We used to go every 3 years, and it was kind of coordinating with because they had a spring break, a full year week spring break every 3 years for fundraising reasons and for just wanting to put more space in between the trips and things of that nature. I moved it from every 3 years to every 4 years. And now every kid, instead of one grade getting to go twice and getting to be a lucky grade, and those kids actually having to fundraise multiple times in 3 years for multiple huge trips, every grade goes once.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, those in favor of approving the trip for November 11th through 16th, 2025, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, you are approved.
Thank you.
Yep. And last but not least, we have the calendar. I do have a question. In the feedback sessions, people had asked if we could shorten the winter break and go back to school on the 2nd of January to try to get done in May. Could we look at being able to do that at all?
If you move up the calendar version, if you look at that, if you go back on the 2nd, that gives us 2 days. Now, if you go down to June, we would still be going to school in June.
We also have a 2-day school week the week of Thanksgiving. So that Wednesday could be added.
Yeah, but Wednesday of Thanksgiving week has always been a travel day. Or that's been the discussion. Some years we have it, some years we don't.
Yeah.
The years we don't, it's for travel. And the years we do, they say, hey, we should not have school, so we can travel. But
You know, let's play what if. Let's say we did through lunch. So we fed lunch on the 27th of November, which would count as a school day. Because as long as we feed all of the kids lunch, it counts as a school day.
And it's a
And
Wednesday
then-
anyway, so it's already early release.
What's that?
And it's a Wednesday anyway, so it's already early release.
So then if we went back to school and had a 2-day week after Christmas, which I try and avoid 2-day weeks as much as I can. Like Eric said, we do have a 2-day week before Thanksgiving, but those of us who have been in the classroom and taught, 2-day weeks are horrible.
Well, either way,
they're just, it's just not okay. They're not okay. Kids get really, it's difficult. But if we did that, we'd still have 1 day in June. And that was really kind of where I was struggling as we laid out the calendar is there a 1-day school week in June? Do we shorten the week, shorten the year? Instead of going 174 days for students, do we go 173? But like we've had presentations at the board level previously, our kids aren't rocking the MCAs. So do we want to cut a day off of the school? It's all of those types of things that kind of go into this. So,
And there was feedback too on not doing a full spring break, and so I saw that was changed.
Yep, we moved that. And I have to apologize, on the last calendar, there were 2 spring breaks put out there because families had asked for a spring break that was off the cycle of Easter.
Sure.
So that we would have, and that was kind of what was represented, but it didn't say this or this. I just put it as both of those, so that was part of the problem that was written up there. But, so the 18th and the 21st in April have to be given off because we have a lot of contracts that read Good Friday and Easter Monday as days off. So
just a little bit of discussion here. I'm looking ahead at 2026, 2027, and that year Labor Day is late, unlike next year where it is early, and we wouldn't start until the second week in September, and then we would have to go until the second week in June. Because of that, with that noted, I would just really prefer we motion to approve traditional calendars as admin would like to move forward with them for next year for sure, when we can continue to reevaluate this process as we get closer to that year where it seems to be a tricky problem again.
A second. Discussion?
So, okay, so on what you're voting,
Can we clear up the
what's
motion?
the starting date? The 26th of August?
I'm just motioning that they can.
No, the traditional.
So this would be the
Would
the
be starting
calendar
after
for
Labor Day.
basically.
Okay.
We proved this.
So,
Or
for this
how
coming
they see
school
fit.
year, from
Got
what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, Darcy, for this coming school year, we'll do a traditional calendar, which would start the day after Labor Day, and go through with 174 student contact days, 185 teacher contact days. For the following year, so 26, 27, 27, 28, or
well, 25,
26, 26, 27, those two.
Right.
We'll leave that open to continue doing some research on flexible calendar and see what works best for the district.
As where Labor Day falls, it really makes an impact on when we start and how late we go, depending on what falls in there. So just based on the input that we've received on starting early for next year for sure, I just vote we go with the traditional calendar. I don't need to nitpick the dates. You guys have always historically done the calendars.
So I think we need to get a calendar published. And so I support approving it. I did not hear in feedback sessions that I attended, which was 2 out of the 3, that the community or staff are supportive of continuing to look at flexible calendar, and I think my opinion is we just need to be done with it and focus on other higher priority things, because the staff is like important in that, right? If they don't see the value of that and aren't asking for it, and then parents were kind of whatever the calendar says, right? So yeah, the motion is to approve this one. I agree with that. The discussion about continuing to look at flexible, I think we just need to get calendars out far in advance, ahead of time, and I'd be interested in like setting a date where like by this board meeting each year we need to have the calendar approved for at least the next year so that we don't run into this situation again.
I think that's a really good idea. So we're not currently approving the next 2, or the next 3 years, just the one.
Just this one.
Yeah, there's only one on the agenda for approval.
Well, I'd still like to see us investigate
Oh.
the kids coming in late to school that costs us 2.5 hours a week. 30 weeks of school times 2.5, I mean there's 3 days right there.
Oh, the kids that have that.
And of the kids who are allowed not to come in, how many of them are PSEO? So, we're we're rewarding a population that is, you know, I don't see the value on one side. But, so yeah, if we can keep talking about that, that'd be
Okay, any further discussion?
I agree with the traditional calendar. I do think that we should not be yearly approving calendars. Some people really need to plan more than a year out. I think we need to be planning multiple calendars at a time each, whether it be each year, and we're approving 2 at a time.
Yeah. So when do we think we could get drafts of the next 2 years for? Like,
I'm saying it wrong.
Do you feel like those are ready to go if we stick with traditional?
If we stick with traditional, we've got 3 years. But then I see that in 2025, 26, we are coming back on January 2nd for 1 day, when in the previous year, we didn't want to come back for 2 days that week. But again, I don't want to sit here and pick days. I can get you all of these in a better format for next month.
I think we should,
Let's get this one done, so we can get this one out, and then maybe we can.
So
I just mean for
approval,
future.
And we have a motion and a second to approve the traditional calendar as it's written for the 24-25 school year. And then other things we can discuss about at the next meeting.
Yes.
We'll put it as a discussion item for the
Discussion
next
item next.
meeting. And if you have drafts ready to go by then, great, for approval.
Yeah,
Great.
discussion item, at least when they will be due
Yep.
by and out to the public.
Yeah,
So then the
let's-
public will know.
Let's do that. I like that.
I was just thinking then maybe we want to talk next meeting about, let's set, this is something that will always happen at the April meeting, or this is something that will always happen at the June meeting.
Yeah, we
is
could
that
set
we'll
that
have calendars for
policy or something.
3 years going out, you know, whatever it happens to be, so that we have a,
You know, you like to have the revised budget by December or January. I feel like mid-year, that's a really good time. Maybe give
yeah,
you
so we just pick a month, and then we know this is when it's gonna happen, and then, because that's how Brittany and I kind of do the board agendas, as we go through and we go, okay, this has to happen in April, this has to happen in May, this happens in January,
Yeah.
you know, so we know that those
So
are
we'll
the
add
things
it
coming
as
up.
a discussion item for next
Yeah.
month. And we can look more at the, you know, if there's data needed on the starting, the kids not coming in, like Eric asked. If there's, I think at one point we also talked about the leave early on Wednesdays, if that factors in, so let's talk about that at the next meeting. And any other discussion on the motion to approve this one? Okay, those in favor of approving the calendar for next year as it's written, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that is approved.
Move to adjourn
Publish
meeting.
it.
Second.
We are adjourned.
Mindy, Brittany, and April.